So I am going to be going over a couple of stretches that you can do, um, kind of sitting at your desk area, or at a chair if you're working at like the kitchen table a lot. So because of kind of what's going on right now, I know you guys are at home a lot. You're spending a lot of time sitting on Zoom calls for school and all of that, and so it's not very good or conducive for kind of a happy spine, and happy head. So what I want to do is go over just a couple, and if you like these, please let me know, because I'm happy to honestly go into more detail about them. So I'll kind of just go through a couple of things you can do, and then if you kind of want more, then let me know, and I'll add some on, and I'll go into a little bit more detail. One of the super important things, though, that I do want to say to anybody watching this is that so I have my yoga background as well as my dance background, and it's really important when you are, regardless of what type of athlete you are, or if you're not really an athlete at all, is you need to balance the two halves of your body. So you've got the front half and the back half. And a lot of times what we do is we spend a lot of time kind of curled over, so the back side of the body is getting a whole lot, and the front side doesn't get as much, or vice versa. We spend a whole lot of time in extension, especially in acro, right? And we spend less time kind of actively stretching. So it's one thing to just be hunched over and hanging out, another thing to be actively stretching forward and finding space. So really important that you guys balance those two. Whenever I'm going to show you one thing kind of in one direction, like a forward fold, I'll give you something to balance it out that goes into the opposite direction and plane. So if you've taken geometry, right, like the planes of existence, you'll take it into a different plane, so it helps even your body out. So I'm going to go through a couple. I don't have an actual desk chair, which is a problem, right? Because I sit on this, and you see how much pressure it can put on my spine. So the first thing that I would say is when you're getting either, tightness in the neck, tightness in the back, the first thing you want to do before you just like collapse over and try and stretch out the back is just to take neck movement, right? So you just want to let the chin drop to the chest, and you'll find that it actually sends sensation to the upper neck, which is great. But here, the most important thing, dancers, is that you don't just do it for a few seconds and then call it a day. You need to give your body a chance to actually fall into the position. So I recommend staying here anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how much time you have. And then once you're done with that, and I'll flip and face the front now with the chin still dropped to the chest, you're then just going to take the right ear over to the right shoulder. And again, this isn't something where you just do it once and you call it a day. You do it 30 seconds to a minute. You really try and press this shoulder down, so you see how you're not letting it ride up, you're pressing it down to find more length. And without forcing anything, you can also add a little bit of weight just with the hand. And then rather than just flip it over to the other side, you're going to take the chin back down through center and over to the other side, and again press down. And I'm tighter on this side, if you can tell. Right, so I might add a little bit of this just to help. Because your body's going to want to go away from these places that it's not flexible in. You try and put it in these positions, and it's going to, I don't want to, and it's going to try and pull you back out. So you want to help your body go into these types of stretches. And then after 30 seconds to a minute, you'll bring the chin back, and then that's when you roll it out. I recommend doing this several times. I already am feeling sensation on the outsides of my neck. It takes some time to get the body to loosen up, especially when you're sitting for hours on end doing schoolwork at your desk, okay? So that's just for the upper body. Now next, this is a little bit more dancey because we're dancers. So with the feet flat on the ground, this is not going to balance the two halves of our bodies. Create little like wings by your sides, kind of like this, so not popping out, but right at your sides. And I want you to draw your chin up towards the sky, pull your elbows back, and arch just through the upper shoulders. So you're really working on pinching the shoulder blades together. So here you want to feel like the shoulder blades are pressing in towards one another. You can look up more, pull the shoulder blades together more. It's going to give you a stretch in the fronts of the shoulders, as well as the chest, as well as the neck. And then to balance that out, we bring the arms forward, and instead of just collapsing, you're going to press your shoulders back. So dancers, imagine that you've got a wall here and you're trying to push the wall away. Notice I'm also letting my chin drop. So I'm balancing out the two halves. And then you can take that 30 seconds, and it should be work to hold this because you're not just hanging, you're pushing. And then you take your wings through, draw the chest up, draw the eyes up, stretch the front, pinch the shoulder blades, and then press through. Active core, press the shoulders, okay? You can take that several times. It's gonna start to open up the upper body. One other thing, I'll give you two other things. One other thing that you can do is you can let your arm drop down, okay, to your side. The other hand can just be here. And you just let the side body, right, which we also don't always stretch a lot, let that lengthen out and start reaching the hand down. And it's going to start stretching between your ribs. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but your ribs can get really tight. There's muscles that attach your ribs together. Okay, so if you don't stretch those out, you get tight in between your ribs. You have less range of motion. Now notice I'm not just doing this. I'm going up and over. Like in ballet, like you do a combre, right? Same thing. Up and over. 30 seconds to a minute. Up and over. Right here's where you want to feel the stretch. 30 seconds to a minute. Okay? And then last thing at your chair, and again, I can give you guys more. There's a million things you can do at your chair while you're sitting, right? Is going to be with the legs. And since we're dancers, this is going to be easier. If you're not a dancer and you're watching this, please be careful, yeah? You don't need to get the knee all the way straight. So I'll turn this way so you guys can see. I want you guys to take your opposite hand and your opposite foot. And you really root your tailbone and your sits bones down into the seat, and you start to kick the heel forward. Now, you might bend the knee and keep it bent and just work on lengthening the spine. So you're working on bringing the knee towards the chest. And then if you have more space, you can start stretching out the leg. You should feel this really deep stretch in your hip and your seat. You can point the toes, but it's actually less intense when you point the toes, so I recommend flexing the foot, pulling the tailbone down, and just working that. If this is intense for you, do it for as long as you can. Bend the knee to get out of it and set it down. And then again, opposite hand, opposite heel. Root the tailbone down. You can start with a bent knee. And then you can stretch it out. And again, feel a nice deep stretch in your sits bone and in your hip as you go. Okay? And then dancers, the one other thing I wanted to say, of course, if you're really busy and you need to be sitting in your chair and just taking a quick break, this is a perfect way to do it. If you can, so important to stand up, walk around, move around, 10 minutes for every hour, right? That you are sitting, because it's really easy for your body to get really, really sedentary and for kind of your body to turn off because it doesn't think it needs to be working because you're sitting for so long. So kind of 10 minutes of every hour, try and stand up and do something. One thing that I'm going to start having y'all do in class more, and that my teachers used to make me do in undergrad, is we would have to hang upside down for 5 minutes. So your feet will be hips width distance, toes parallel, and then all you do is you just roll forward and let the backs of the legs stretch out, okay? Try and shift your weight so that your hips are directly over your heels, and you just hang out like this. Let your head drop down. You can grab your opposite elbows, you can swing, and you want to stay down there. Now, does it need to be for 5 minutes? No. Does it need to be for 10 minutes? No. But even 2 minutes, getting the backs of your legs, right? When we sit, what are the hamstrings doing? They're in a constant contraction, right? They're constantly working, even if it's just a small amount of work, because the knees are bent, right? And so when you squeeze this in even more, they work even more. The backs of the legs get so tight when we're forced to sit all the time, right? And we're not really meant to sit all the time. We're meant to be able to move around more, right? So I want you guys to give a little bit more love to the backs of your legs. I know we do a lot of quad stretch. We do lunges, we do splits, we do all this stuff for the fronts of the legs, and we give the backs of the legs less work. So feet hips width distance, rolling forward. Not only is this getting the backs of your legs, it's also getting your chest and the back of the chest, right? So the shoulder area, it should feel good. Make sure you're not wrenching your neck up like I'm doing while talking, but letting it drop down. And then just soft bend in the knees. Please don't lock out your knees, okay? So this is all going to be really good as you guys are continuing to work from home, as you guys are continuing to do a whole lot of staying home over the next couple months, okay? So I hope this helps. Let me know if you like it. I'm happy to go over more. I'm happy to give you guys more exercises. Just let me know. Thanks, dancers.